started. Jen, go ahead and then Graf.
Hi, Coach. Good afternoon. KD returning today. Steve Nash says he's not going to play in the full minute load, but still his presence out there is certainly going to be a boost for them. What are you prepared for from him on the court? And then what about off the court, since this is the first time he's going to play in front of fans in the Barclays Center?
Oh, I don't have any idea as far as the fans and how he'll – I'm going to say that will not affect Kevin Durant whatsoever. He's played in front of a lot more fans than that. He's played in huge games, so I don't think the crowd will be any, effect on him. And look, I mean, the guy's a really good player, so, we know what to expect. I mean, he can get to where he needs to on the floor and raise up. You just make it as tough on him as you possibly can. But he's one of the best scorers in this league. Some people think the best.
And run us through your availability, Coach, in terms of, seems like Jackson should be a go. What about BI and anybody on a minutes restriction, given it's a back-to-back, like IT or Zion?
No, there's no minutes restrictions. We'll have the same group we had the other night. Brandon won't go. Obviously, Nikhil and Josh are out, and Kyra won't go. So we'll have the same group.
Coach, IT played 25 minutes for you last night. You mentioned after the game, considering he hadn't played in over a year, he played pretty well. But I just would like to know how beneficial he can be to the team, not only on the floor but off the floor, especially with your young guards and what he can bring to those guys.
Well, he's a great guy. I think everybody really admires and respects him for what he's done in this game and the toughness that he has and everything else. They all know how good he is. I think that on top of, really respecting him, guys really, really like him. So I think he adds to the spirit of the group. He's great to have around, and it's a good story that he's back in the league after a year and getting an opportunity. So, it's a net positive for sure.
Obviously, Katie is back tonight. Harden's out, but their big three gets the headlines. But how important is Joe Harris as to what he brings to the table as far as what they want to do on a night-in, night-out basis?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Harris is a really, really good player at both ends. I mean, can really defend, tough guy, great moving without the ball, shooting 47% from three. And, he's a really, really good player, and he benefits from the fact that on this team, he's never going to see one of your top two defenders, So, it's a difficult matchup, and he plays off of those guys really, really well. I mean, I don't have to tell you, this is a really talented offensive team. They've got a lot of guys who can play and who know how to play. They've gone out and gotten all these veterans, Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Jeff Green. So they've put a lot of guys around those stars who really know how to play the game of basketball. And that's why they are where they are, and that's why they are championship contenders, because, it's not just a couple of guys. I mean, they've really done a good job over the course of the year. Sean Marks has done a great job building out that roster to where they've got a lot of guys who can play. They're not putting anybody out there who's even questionable.
Hey Stan, Christian Clark here. Two things for me. With Brandon, would you still describe it as something that's day-to-day? Is there a sense that he is getting closer?
I certainly hope so. It is day-to-day, and I'm hopeful every game that day will be the day. So now I'm really hopeful Friday will be the day. I know Brandon really wants to be out there. I know it kills him to sit there and watch, especially when other guys are down and he knows he could help. And the guy really just loves to play the game. So I know it's killing him as much as it's actually more probably than it's killing us to have him sitting there. So hopefully it'll be soon. We definitely need him back.
And then I was going to ask you too, last night you talked about, getting caught up playing their style. I mean, what is just the message to your team on, I guess, specific ways, to play the way you guys want to play, in that game?
Yeah, listen, we didn't really take bad shots. I mean, the shots we took for the most part, were open shots. The problem is we really didn't make Atlanta defend. It was easy for them at that end. There was a lot of one-pass shot, and now they're back on offense again. And I think that sort of led to their run. And obviously their shooting was unbelievable, out of this world. But we contributed to it, I think, by not making them defend at that end of the floor. So we talked about that a little bit today. But it's tough. I mean, it really is a fine line, because the threes we had were open for the most part. Like, even wasn't just my evaluation, talking to my assistants, I don't think anybody was saying, God, we took a lot of bad shots. We just took them probably a little quicker, and we probably took them from some guys that aren't great shooters. I mean, if you look at our roster right now, I mean, we've only got Bled and Zoe, who are up over the league average shooting, and then Zion, but he hasn't made a lot. We don't have anybody else on the roster we have tonight shooting over 30% from three. So we don't have a ton of shooting on the floor right now. Isaiah can shoot it, though. He just hasn't been here this year. He would be our third guy who can shoot it.
Hey, Stan, Brian Mahoney from the Associated Press. Obviously, Durant comes back, Harden leaves. I think there's some little angst among the fans that they don't get to see this team together yet. As a coach, guys who know that all the time, when do you get concerned that you don't have enough of a look at your roster, no matter what kind of team you have?
I mean, I'm going to guess that Steve's not real concerned. I mean, you're talking about three really, really talented guys who have played in a lot of big games and know how to play the game. And he's seen them all play. I can't imagine that it's a big problem. I mean, certainly he'd like to have them all together for as much time as he could, but I don't think he's probably over there real anxious about anything.